Have you ever worked on a project and despite all that motivation and excitement at the beginning, it turned into one big disaster catastrophe? I did, and I know there are many reasons why projects fail, like for example, unmature processes and systems, unrealistic deadlines, missing big picture, insufficient resources, politics, poor planning, and many others. However, there is one reason that can be eliminated really early in the project initiation phase, and is quite often overlooked. And that's the unclear scope definition and foggy expectations on outcomes. This results into wrong roadmaps that brings us to the completely different destination as the one we expected. Just imagine that waking up 5 minutes late and you might end up missing your connections to the airport and finally missing your airplane, which will cause you hours, if not days of delay, and it's not going to be cheap either. This means that minor deviation at the beginning of the project can have a huge impact down the road. Hey guys, what's up? Michal here. Today I would like to speak about the project scope definition. We'll have a short look on what are the consequences of poor scoping, why does it happen, and mainly how to get it done properly. You know, there is a saying, anticipation is the ultimate advantage, and that's 100% true here. At first, let's have a look what are the consequences of the poor scoping. There is one in particular called scope creep, which basically means that your project is a mess. You are having changes that are happening without checking the impact on budget and on the timing, and your project is basically out of control. Next are, for example, delays in schedule, missed opportunities, loss of money, unhappy customers, and also drop of morale in the team. Why is scope fundamental for the project? Imagine that you ask somebody to give you an advice where to go for a vacation in December. If you don't tell them that you would like to just relax on the beach at the sea, they might recommend you the best ski resort hotel somewhere in the mountains. Not much of the help, is it? What scope definition does is that it brings all the stakeholders on the same page. It defines the limits for what is in the scope and what is not, and it captures the status quo. Means that whatever changes will come later on can be compared and evaluated to the initial scope. When the consequences are negative and so obvious, you might ask yourself, why does it happen? Well, again, there are quite a few reasons, but to name a few, it would be a time pressure, misunderstandings and miscommunication, not consulting the experts, or skipping the lessons learned. Now to the point, how to define the scope. You might have expected that there is a document for it, and it's so-called project scope statement. This is a living document that should be revised regularly during the project lifecycle in order to capture occurring changes. Its purpose is to serve as a compass, means it's supposed to give you a direction, not a clear roadmap how to get to your destination. After all alignments are done, we want to get this document signed by all the key stakeholders. This will ensure that everybody is on the same page with the expectations and will serve also as a leverage when the changes will occur. The ultimate goal of this document is to clearly set the limits and expectations. How do we create one? Step 1, stop to speed up. We want to plan our time, think about planning our scope, prepare our questions, define how we want to track our scope, also monitor and validate it. We are going to think about all the people who are impacted by the project. Tools like brainstorming or mind mapping are great, and we shouldn't forget to invite and ask for the help the other team members. What we want to achieve here is to find all the people who can dance. Yes, you heard right, the people who can dance. So the people who can decide, authorize, need to know for some reason because they are impacted by the project, who have connections that can help us to remove the roadblocks, and the ones who have energy, the positive or negative one, to impact the project. Step number 2, collect the requirements and inputs. This will give us an idea about what the key stakeholders are expecting to get. In a business, it can be in the form of RFQ package, which means request for quotation, that comes from the customer to the supplier. but it also can be obtained through surveys and interviews, for example. Step number 3, clarify expectations. As we are all only humans, we not only tend to disagree with the other people, but we also change our own minds quite often. So interviewing all the stakeholders and finding out what they want and aligning on their expectations is a must. In order to do that, let's get ready and prepare the questionnaire in advance. Here is how we put one together. Imagining an A4 format, you start with the standard information like who is the author, what is the name of the project, when is it expected to start and finish. Next is going to be purpose. Why is this project initiated? There is for sure a reason why this project has been started, and this needs to be formulated. Key objectives. They can be defined by using a SMART objective setting, which means that those objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Key deliverables. How the objectives will be achieved and approved. In the scope statement, a high-level definition is enough, but it's good to keep the SMART acronym in mind and define those deliverables accordingly. Key milestones. If the proper job was done with the objectives and deliverables, this one is a piece of cake because you have all the information, you just need to pull out the most important dates. Constraints. Those are simply your limitations. So everything that is related to people, money, energy, time, tools, processes, and other requirements. Exclusions. In order to have really a full picture of the project, it's not only useful to have what is part of the project, but also what is not part of the project and what is not included in the scope. Clearly stating what is not to be expected will avoid the scope creep. Number 4. At last, we put everything together in the same or similar format as the questionnaire and we get it signed by everyone. Et voila! Fertig! It's finished! If you like, you can click on the link in the description below and it will take you to the template in Notion, which is called Project Scope Statement and which is filled in by me for our vacation in December. Alright, have a good one. Ciao!